Hi there everybody, I'm Fred Thomas and you are watching All Things Bike, and today we are speaking with my mother, Gladys Thomas. Hi Mommy.
Hi Fred.
Welcome to the show.
Great to be here. I'm usually watching on my TV. I've been watching since you started this thing.
You're my #1 fan.
Absolutely.
Well, it's great. I mean, who would have thought that we could both be on television? I never expected that.
I sure didn't. I've never been on television before.
But now you are.
Yeah, it would be.
And so what is, how come I'm riding bikes so much? How did I end up like this?
How did you get into it?
I don't know. I mean, when did you know that I was, you know,
well,
just
let's see,
bikes?
how did it start? You had a bicycle in prep school.
Yeah.
And you rode it, but I think it was just one of many things that you did. But then you had then there was a teacher at your school, Eaglebrook School.
Oh, yeah.
And he was kind of the leader of the bike group, and you bicycled a lot with him, and he had a disaster. He had a horrible accident where he fell off his bicycle, fell flat on his face, and you stripped off your shirt, and you dashed up to him and blotted the blood that was streaming down from his broken nose. So that, I think, was the beginning.
I think it certainly was. I mean, that was Tom Katzenbach, and he was the bike coach. And I remember that was the first bike crash that I witnessed, and he basically, someone fell down in front of him, and he hit him, and he went right over his handlebars. And in those days, the helmets were borderline useless. I mean, the helmets that we had were just little plastic shells, and I just remember it was a pretty scary thing, but I don't think I appreciated just how serious it was.
Yeah, you were pretty shook up at the time.
Is that right? Gosh, well,
yeah.
He was okay, but the funny thing was that he also had an Austro-Daimler. He did?
Just randomly, by chance?
I think when Austro-Daimlers were the bikes to have in the 80s, or somehow he had one, and I was riding a purple Panasonic, I seem to remember, and when it came time to upgrade, I mean, where else? I had no idea no idea what kind of bike to look for. So I said, well, what about the one that Tom had? And that became the muse of the company, and I think it put me on this path. But what about when I was small? I mean, was I asking for a bike, or did I?
I don't remember that.
No, I mean, did I?
I really don't.
Well, maybe.
But you probably you probably got a bicycle when you were about 7 or 8, and you probably rode it around Islesboro.
Yeah. I certainly did that. I think I used to, but I remember riding to the beach and putting the bathing suit on my head, because there's no way you could carry a bathing suit on the bike. Yeah. Somehow I survived that.
Sort of the bumpy little roads, and it was just one of the many things that you did.
Wow.
Anyway.
Well, what about you? I mean, did you ride a bike when you were a youth?
I rode a bicycle in Newport, Rhode Island. When I learned to ride a bicycle when I was 7 years old, and it was a major achievement. And it was wartime, World War II, and so there was very, very little traffic. And my mother rode a bicycle. You had to get to the beach, and that's how you got to the beach, was riding a bicycle. Wow. But it was a major thrill. But sometimes I wasn't paying attention. And once I was riding with my aunt, I think, and I wasn't paying attention, and I rode right smack into a parked car.
Oh.
So they all said, that's typical Gladys, she doesn't pay attention.
Well, I mean, it's easy
but
to get
then
distracted.
once we moved to the country where the roads were totally unpaved, that was the end of riding a bicycle. We rode around in the garage, and that wasn't a lot of fun.
Well, then what about, I mean, later on, I mean, in the 70s, did you ever sort of take it up?
I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I didn't. And somebody put me on a bicycle, I suppose in the early 80s or something. And I was terrified. absolutely terrified, and I have not done it since. So you're the bicycle person.
I'm carrying that task. Well, I mean, the bikes have changed so much. I mean, the thing you were riding in the 40s and even in the 70s was probably not so easy to ride and probably not that comfortable. But now, you know, you can get bikes that have really wide tires and they're easy to shift, and you can even get a helmet, so you don't, you know, you can.
I think the bicycles I started out with didn't even have a shift. You just rode and you braked, and that was it.
Wow. Well, then what else? I mean, what about Lanny and Stephanie? Did they ever ride a bike? Or?
Yeah, they were riding bicycles. That was always a big deal. Yeah. Somewhere we have a picture of Lanny, that's your brother, you remember?
Oh, yeah.
In front of the Christmas tree, and he's just getting a new bicycle, and he's just as pleased as he can be. But I don't know that he rode it that much, except in the summer. I don't know. You know, you're asking me questions that I don't really know the answer to.
That's right. Ask me one.
But
ask me a question.
Yeah. So I wanted to know about that picture.
Oh yeah. Thanks for bringing it up. I know it's in many ways it's evidence of the bike that got me on this path. It's the Austro-Daimler that I'm on in this picture. I think it's 1986. That's what we decided.
We figured out that this is 1986. So Fred is 18, and he has just won a bicycle race on Islesboro, Maine.
I know. I think it was the first round the island race, and I remember there were only about 4 or 5 people in it, and one was Bill Boardman, and another. I'll think of it. But at the end of it, there were only 3 of us, and somehow
we were standing over here and going, Freddie.
No, I mean, somehow I don't know how it worked out. It came down to the last minute or the last moment, and I mean, I'm not sure. What is so remarkable about this picture is that I wasn't even wearing a helmet. You know, I only had 1 water bottle cage, probably only 6 speeds on this thing. You know, the technology, I mean, I have a watch. I don't have any kind of computer or anything.
So that was just a race. It wasn't a triathlon.
No, this is just a race around the island.
Which is 13 miles long.
Oh, it's longer than that. It's 20.
Well, I mean, if you go around go all the way around it, it's 20-odd miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were so excited.
That's you,
I am, whoopee.
And that's Stephanie.
Yeah.
And there's someone finishing. But this picture sits in the corporate headquarters, and it's part of the it's the intro to the presentation I make to everybody who walks in. I say, this is the bike that started the restoration, and it is. It's the very bike that started the restoration of AD.
It was sort of yellow like this, right?
That's right. I mean, this is the 21st century reimagination of the original Champagne. They named all the finishes of these bikes according to drinks. So the yellow one was Champagne, the pink one it was Rosé, and the red one was a Burgundy, and you know, why not? And but that. I mean,
okay, so this was 86. Yeah. Then the next year, you went to France.
Oh, that's right.
And you had a kind of a drama there too, didn't you?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
were you racing in France, or
well,
were you
I know
just
I crashed at least
fun?
once, and then a nighttime criterium. But I rode. I don't remember anything worse than that. But I do remember Tata, when she found out about this. She couldn't believe that I was racing bikes, right? I mean, she was French, right? And she hadn't seen anyone my age doing, racing bikes, which for her was a thoroughly, standard thing, right? I mean, she was totally familiar with it. And I distinctly remember when she said, "Oh, wow, the Tour de France, I tell you, it was all these guys would sit around, they drink wine and listen to the radio, and they would gamble like mad. It was a total excuse
on the Tour de France.
On the riders in the Tour de France. It was all about gambling, and okay, then there was some sort of some fan stuff going on, but I was fascinated to hear that, and then off I went to Cognac, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, wow. I should have stayed.
And there you Was that a race, or was that,
that was just
riding?
A ride? It was staying with.
Because the local paper took a picture of you.
That's right. Exactly. That was there was a whole racing circuit right there in Cognac. Every weekend there was a race, and I turned up and I rode around training, and then I turned up at the first race, with my license, and it said Frederick Western Thomas on it, and they took one look at it and they said, "Wow, Western! Wow, Le Western!" And that was a reference to the Sunday night spaghetti western, which was on the local on state television.
Your French was something less than fluent.
It was formative. It was, and it was not functioning at 100% for sure. And that first race, I learned the hard way about how to count in French. So they said the race was 90 kilometers, and so
that's a long race.
Well, let's see if it was 90 kilometers. To say 90 kilometers in French, you would say
90.
60 plus 30 to get to 90.
Well, that's, you said 80.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you wanted 90.
30, I thought. I mean, I thought to get there, you sort of do some mental addition. I don't know. The viewership can chime in on this, but anyway, they said, okay, the race is 90 kilometers, and somehow something got lost in translation. I thought it was 30 kilometers. So this is short. Wow, no problem.
Oh, and then you stopped.
So I went. No, I went out like very aggressively and went off the front. And I was all by myself, and I just kept going around the circuit, and it just kept going on and on and on, and it didn't end. I thought it was going to be a lot shorter, and as a result, the fans were wildly excited. Oh, here's this American Western, and he's riding like a real Frenchman.
So there were people standing on the roadside?
Absolutely, yeah. and handing me the road. It was so hot, the asphalt was melting. So you come around a corner and the bike would sort of sink into the asphalt. I ran out of water, and then a family was hanging there, and they give me water every time, and they basically followed me around for the rest of the summer, handing me water bottles at races. But anyway, it may have been the best story out of all of my cycling
Yeah, it was
stories.
a lot of fun.
I know. Well, some days I wish I had sort of stuck with it and raced more. But I've been very satisfied with all the racing I've done here too. And
God, how could you race more than what you're doing?
I know. Well, I don't think I can. I mean, I'm racing as much as I can, but I'm still very much an amateur, so I don't race.
Well, that's okay. Don't just leave it like that.
Exactly. I've come to terms. That's why I have the show. So when I retire from racing.
Yeah. Does your viewership know your latest performance in Augusta?
I think they do, or they, all through. Well, I don't know about the viewership, but through the Facebook machinery. Yeah. I mean, the internet world knows about the third place finish on this bike in the time trial, and the fourth place finish in the road race on my Ultima, and there's no one who's more surprised and amused than I am, because they're really good competitors. They come in from all over, and they're really good at it, and I go as fast as I can and as hard as I can. And if I can get on the podium and be seen with these guys, then it's an accomplishment.
Well, we're all very, very impressed.
Well, thank you, Mummy. But yeah, my haircut, I know, I got to do something about that. But I've upgraded the shirt, right?
Yeah, the shirt's looking better than it did.
I know. Well, I have noted that.
And your daughter told me that she couldn't watch it.
I know.
She couldn't watch the show.
I know. Poor thing.
Cringe making.
Cringe meter pegged in the red. and maybe she'll watch this one, but I don't blame her. I mean, it's hard for me to watch it too. Everyone hates the sound of their own voice, but your own voice and your own visage sometimes is just a bit too much. But
it's fun.
It's fun, and thanks for being on the show, Mommy. Wow.
Well, thanks a lot. Keep doing it.
All right, season 3, here we come.
Okay.
All right, everybody. That was my mother, Gladys Thomas, and you might be able to find her on Facebook. She's not on Twitter, so don't bother looking there. That's all we've got time for right now. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All Things Bike with Fred Thomas is brought to you by Zentis, performance carbon wheels handmade in Austria for road and off-road riding. Zentis, next generation wheels. And Frame and Wheel eBay bike selling services. Time, space, cash. Pick 3. And AD Bikes, the modern face of Austro-Daimler cycling and the bike company of the future.